Hi everyone, welcome to this panel discussion with Scientific Games about how industry dynamics are shaping customer relations in 2021 and beyond, and how SG has responded by continuing to create breakthrough entertainment experiences. My name is Stuart Darkin. For those that don't know me, I'm the MD of Casino Beats, and I've spent around a decade working as a journalist and editor in the iGaming media. For those that do know me, hello. I'm joined today by three contributors, namely Simon Johnson. You should wave, gent. Simon Johnson, SVP and MD for the EMEA region, SG Gaming. Andy Stubley, who's a VP in SG Digital's commercial team. And John Lancaster, who's a VP sales for the EMEA region, also for SG Gaming. Gentlemen, good day to you. It's nice to see you. I hope you can hear me okay. And as I've spent, it feels like a year doing, not apologizing for the noise of my two dogs. There's one in the kitchen and one in another room, but if the Amazon man comes to the door, we'll hear them. So I apologize in advance. I've had a word, but nothing seems to get through to them. To kick us off, I wonder if each of you would mind just taking a minute or so to introduce yourselves and relevance to this conversation, really. And perhaps we'll go in the order that I went in then. So that'd be Simon, then Andy, then John. So Simon, to you.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Stuart. Hi, everybody. So my name is Simon Johnson. I'm the Senior Vice President and Managing Director for the EMEA region, leading the Scientific Games gaming division over here. I've got operational and commercial oversight for that region, which comprises the, obviously, Europe, Middle East, Africa, including our UK business, which we've relatively recently combined the UK and EMEA regions. And my prime job, I've got two kind of key focuses. One is to pull this newly merged business together and give it purpose and direction. And the second is to really help our customers in the region as we start to come out of the challenges of the last 12 months and plot our recovery from the COVID pandemic.
Hi, so I'm Andy Stubley. I head up the UK commercial casino team here at SG Digital. The team are responsible for working closely with our operator partners who use our open gaming offering. And our open gaming offering includes, well over 3,000 games from over 65 different suppliers. And we supply that into regulated markets globally. This is a platform that has 16 million players and 3.5 billion game rounds a month. So it's pretty sizable.
Hi, everybody. John Lancaster, Vice President of Sales for the EMEA region. So I look after our land-based customers in casino and retail across the region. It's quite a wide geographical area, ranging from Iceland in the west, as far as Vladivostok, and down to South Africa in the south. My remit falls in step with Simon. Obviously, I'm responsible for the commercial activity in the region, and our biggest focus at the moment, as Simon already mentioned, is really to partner with our customers as we come out of this dreadful situation and trying to help our customers get back on their feet.
Thanks all. Something that we've done at SBC and a lot of companies have done over the last year is have quite a lot of conversations like this online from our kitchens or bedrooms or offices or wherever. And something we did at the very start was we talked about COVID and the pandemic quite a lot. And then we didn't get tired of that, but we had to move the conversation on. I think what's really interesting now is that the three of you have very pointedly talked about the response in terms of your clients, in terms of your responsibility in helping move the relationships forward in this brave new world. And Simon, I wonder if you could just give us the kind of crib notes on that, if you like. What's the last 12 months been like? I mean, we understand we've all been part of the same experience in many ways, but specifically from a relationship side and a business side, what's the last year been like for SG?
Well, I think it's been very similar experiences across any consumer-facing structure, particularly on the retail side. Andy, on the digital side, have perhaps a slightly different experience. But for us, it's really been around, I suppose, three key aspects or elements, if you like. The first was moving as quick as we could to get alongside our customers, to work out together the best way we could support them and support each other in managing what was a fairly unprecedented set of circumstances. And I think it's fair to say that really it's only our grandparents who could remember a similar sort of market dislocation. There's nothing in any of our professional lives to match it. So if you like, for us, phase one was working alongside our customers and orientating ourselves alongside them to work out how we as an industry, and particularly Scientific Games and its customers, could navigate some of these uncharted waters together. The second thing, element was a bit more internal for us, was looking particularly at how we were structured in Scientific Games. Clearly, when the markets are closed, when there's limited activity you can take on the outside, it gives you a chance to have a quick assessment as to whether you're optimally structured internally to service your markets. And that's really where we came along and had some thoughts around how we at Scientific Games could better structure, whether that was aligning and integrating our UK and European businesses under a single leadership team to create a better scaled, a more effective unit, where that was looking at how we structured some of our internal functions. So moving product management to be a global function, for example, that enables us to take better purpose of what's a fantastic asset, which is our global scale, which, for example, in this pandemic means that we're able to bring the lessons and experiences, for example, of our Asia and Australia business, which is a little bit ahead in terms of where the pandemic cycle is, and start to see the learnings there and bring them back into other parts of the world. That was a very important aspect. And for me, finally, I think we've spent a lot of time having sort of reorganized our business, having appraised and worked with our customers to work out the best way to manage the experience of entering lockdown and getting through that through kind of commercial agreements and working out how we work best together. Really, the bulk of our time since then has been spent working with our customers and working internally to start to calculate and work out how we as an organization can support our customers drive their recovery as they start to work their way through the exit strategy, if you like, of COVID. And recognizing this is a very uncertain and dynamic question, that it's going to happen at different speeds in different markets, that different countries will have different approaches, and that the path is going to be very local. But making sure that we're pulling through on some key themes around understanding the experiences that the players wish to come back to, understanding the kind of games and services and products that are going to most attract those players once these lockdowns end, and understanding how the recovery program, if you like, is going to take place in terms of access to capital, in terms of as our customers start to build their business plans around their recovery, how Scientific Games can really mobilize itself to support those customers as they start to deliver and drive that recovery.
It's very interesting what you say there about how this crisis precipitated a period of reflection, almost as we all went into our slightly smaller worlds and we traveled obviously dramatically less, is that individually, but also as companies, you use the word optimal structure. It's a chance to reflect, and it's a chance to look at how we can do things differently. And thinking on reflection, as an events business, you can imagine we've not traveled to many events in the last 12 months. But the real problem with that, or the real challenge, is sales, is those things that rely so heavily on personal relationships. And I wonder if, John and Andy, if we can come to you, who have, forgive me, Simon, but more direct, cold-faced kind of relationship, perhaps, with that challenge. How are you working with clients? How have you been working? How has it changed over the last year? We're doing a lot of these kind of calls, I know, but it's not as simple as that. How are you coping without real events, without product showcases that you might normally have on a 20 iPad event? Yeah,
there's been some big events that haven't happened, and I miss them greatly, I must say. Simon was talking about sort of recovery, and from a digital perspective with online, we're in a very different position because it hasn't stopped, it hasn't slowed down. If anything, it's on steroids. Companies are doing more, they're entering more markets are opening, they're opening quicker. As countries are looking to monetize what they can in these difficult times. And I think from an online perspective, the industry, both operators and suppliers alike, moved really quickly and effectively for ensuring their workforce was able to continue working, at home with no loss of efficiency, and that's no small feat. I mean, the tech teams have worked really hard, and they made it look quite easy. Some of us, certainly the commercial guys amongst us, we're used to working from our laptop at various desks, chairs, offices, countries around the world. But this went through the whole organization. Working from home was a big lift with no downtime, no slowdown in the demand from our operators. And likewise, our marketing team have also done a great job in transitioning, moving from that face-to-face, event-based activity and focusing on the need to transition to virtual. We've increased our digital communications. We have more frequent webinars, panel interviews. Many of our execs and leaders in the business have had chats, with you, Stuart. And we do more game demo videos that are available on demand, rather than expecting that they're all in person. And all that makes it easier for our customers to access what they need when they want it. We've got more stuff now on our digital channels, our social, our YouTube pages. But it's great to see the trade event change too. We look to support any of those where our customers are. Recently, you had your SBC Slot Festival last month. New format, great feedback too. So that's good for us to continue to engage with operators.
John, I wonder what your take is as someone who's having those sales conversations.
Yeah, clearly on the land-based side, the picture is very different. The majority of the properties across the region have been closed for the majority of the year. So we've had some major challenges, both in terms of communication with our customers, where normally our model is we have representatives dotted around the region who are constantly in the properties of our customers and constantly speaking and meeting them face to face. So, thankfully, I think the strength of relationships that we've got with our customers has helped us get through this year and has helped us transition to and cope with the new forms of communication without too much of an impact. I guess the challenge will be, what that looks like in the future, and none of us know. I think a lot of what we've become accustomed to doing over the last 12 months will remain. Clearly, events are very important, face-to-face events are very important, but I think there's a lot of stuff that we've now become accustomed to, and it's quite effective that we will continue to do. So I think there'll be a different dynamic going forward. I think we'll do less travel. I think we'll do less face-to-face and more of this kind of thing. And because we have those long-standing relationships with the customers, we're finding that it's working quite well. They're accommodating us, and they're open to doing this kind of thing, which they wouldn't have done before. So in our position, obviously, the customers have been closed and not had a lot of visibility on when they will open. So our role really has just been to maintain as much contact with them as we possibly can, try to understand what it is they need, what they will need going forward. And their entire strategy has now changed, their perspective has changed. And our job is to try and understand what it is they need and match our strategies and our products to their needs going forward. And they have had a fundamental shift in what they're looking for going forward. They were looking to diversify their portfolio, to attract new players and to bring in different player demographics. And I think what they've realized now, in the short term at least, is they need to get back to basics. They need to bring back their top players. They need guaranteed products which will deliver the best performance once they can open. And obviously, clearly, they need to replenish the coffers for a period of time. So we're definitely seeing a shift in what it is the customers are looking for. And thankfully for us, we believe we have exactly the right product which can help them, to Simon's point, to drive that recovery, because their whole perspective and strategy has changed.
Simon, I know that SG is organising some client-owned summits with a view to helping bring people together and create that sense of community that is missing a little bit, or can be missing with the lack of events. Or, I think, as Andy said before, maybe both of you said, we maybe won't go to quite as many events as we did, and maybe there'll be a correction. We'll find an optimal structure for our diaries as well, where we do spend more time working from our homes and less time maybe working from airport lounges, if we're lucky enough to avoid those. These client summits or client-only summits, Simon, tell us about them. Tell us what the first one's running this week, I think. I'll let you explain.
Yeah, well, sure. So we've just had our European virtual summit that followed previous summits we've held in Asia Pacific and also in North America. And I think this is a great example. The old saying, Stuart, necessity is the mother of invention. And I think when you realise that you're having to look at a situation, clearly this time last year, we were going into lockdown. We'd all just been at ICE and we're watching, I think, with a degree of concern as things were shaping up. I think we very quickly realised that the world of events, the ability to showcase what we had to offer, where we were developing our thoughts and evolving our offerings, we had to think of a new way of sharing that. We didn't want to see a year go by where we weren't showcasing that. I think particularly because very quickly it became clear that whatever the exact nature of the pandemic, we were going to be in a situation where you did have on the land-based side material market closures, and you were therefore going to go through some form of lockdown reopening, and whether that was I think everyone hoped that was a kind of one-way phenomenon. History told us that was likely to be at least two, and I think certainly if you take other pandemic examples, it's a three-way phenomenon. We knew we were going to go into a situation where companies are going to have to stop and then restart multiple times. And what was exciting about the SG product set is we do believe that what we've developed and where we are targeting those capabilities and the particular entertainment set that we bring is really well designed to support that kind of process, that kind of desire to really bring your players back and deliver them the experiences they're looking for, the familiarity and the entertaining environments and experiences that really should play a large part in driving a company's recovery from these difficult pieces. So with that in mind and recognizing that we wanted to showcase that, we had to think of a different way to engage people. And what the Zoom calls and the video calls have given us a chance to play around with is the online world and catching up in a virtual experience in a way that, frankly, is very familiar to all of our teenage children. The fact that you don't need to be physically together to share experiences, to have a common and entertaining sense of community. And really what these virtual experiences are about are developing that as a capability and as an experience set that brings our customers together, allows us to showcase the power of our portfolio, to present to them the innovation and investment that Scientific Games has been going through, even whilst the markets have been closed, and to demonstrate to them, if you like, the themes and experiences that we're working on, which tie very tightly to the conversations we've had with all of our operators around what they're looking for as they start to think about how they drive their recovery. So for us, those virtual experiences should provide the purpose of a launch pad or a springboard to bring us into the period of market reopening. There are very exciting things to do, really fun experiences, and great to innovate and play around with new ideas with our customers as part of that experience. So they were great fun, and we were delighted with how well they went and how well supported they've been, and the feedback they've generated from the customer base.
What I would add to that is that as I said earlier, there are things we've done that certainly we will continue to do even post normality. The virtual event, which allowed a customer to virtually enter into the exhibition floor and spend time, click on a product, receive information, videos, interviews by from the game designers. We've done dozens and dozens of trade shows in our time, and you all know that in 2 days you get 5-10 minutes with a customer before you have to move them on. So really, these events offer something different in that we can give a customer a much longer and more detailed experience to look at our products in detail. So that kind of thing, for sure. We've on the back of the event, we've all agreed that this is something we will definitely continue. We need to add back the face-to-face, of course, because we're all humans and we all want to interact, and it's what makes the world go round. But there's definitely some valuable takeaways from these events, which we for sure will continue in the future.
Did you get engagement from your land-based clients as well? Because a lot of these online events have been very focused on iGaming, but obviously we have a much broader offer that we're talking about here. And I wondered what the pickup was like with the community that you engaged with directly, John.
Yeah, no, the land-based attendance was excellent. I mean, obviously we pushed it hard with our customers, and it was geared. It wasn't a digital event nor a land-based event. It was both, and we had a very comprehensive offering on the land-based side, which I can talk to. And we know which customers attended. It was a very, very high level quality attendance, and the feedback that we got from all our customers was that they thoroughly enjoyed it and found it extremely useful. And as I said, there are things that we must repeat. Some of these panel discussions that we were having, the customers were very much engaged in. And I think we can even take that to the next level, using the technology that we have, using the acceptance now of this kind of media. We'll be able to have group discussions with representative customers from the region on a regular basis, and I think now there's an absolute acceptance to do that, whereas probably 18 months ago they would have shied away from it.
Yeah, it was a great event. I think everybody really pulled it out of the bag on that one. And like you say, John, I mean, there is different ways of doing things, and we've had to do the same, with digital. I mean, we've had an annual event we do with our customers called Games Fest, which we've held in some amazing locations throughout Europe each year. And last year, obviously, we had to change that to virtual, and we changed it to bring in, panel discussions, interviews with some of the game designers, to really understand why these games are being built, and a lot more Q&A sessions. And it went down really well with 60 plus operators that were invited to that. And we're planning the same again for this year as a virtual event. It's not the same as in person. I look forward to doing the next one in person next year.
Hopefully, fingers crossed everywhere. Simon, what you've done here is you've created a forum as well as a platform for sharing product. You've created a means to communicate with your audience, your valuable audience in terms of your customers. What did you learn? What has this taught you about the way ahead? What has this taught you about how you're going to help drive recovery? About your how are you helping these guys?
That is an excellent question, and it kind of breaks down into possibly 2 or 3 different component parts. I think the most important thing that we will have to recognise is there's no playbook for this. That's partly because the experience of the pandemic and the experience of market conditions are intensely local. So when you're working across a region as diverse as the one that John and I exist in, you have to recognise that you're looking at multiple different tracks, multiple different experiences, multiple different government responses, multiple different human experiences, and so you've got to be, first of all, you have to do that difficult combination that everyone talks to, and actually is much harder to live than it is to talk, which is whilst you can have a global position, you've got to make sure that your response is very local. So first and foremost, it's around understanding the position on the ground. It's about understanding what individual customers are going through, and individual customers, what their market conditions are. And that you have to therefore be able to create highly specific solutions, or help them create highly specific solutions. So that's the first piece. The second piece is I think you've got to recognise that much as the human condition is to look for certainty, we all find uncertainty extremely difficult. And we look to people, whether it's politicians or whoever it's scientists, to give us some measure of looking around the corner and being able to tell the future. You can't do it. With absolutely no way that people can know what's going to happen next. So we've got to recognise that uncertainty is bred into any consumer-facing business now for the next 12, 18 months. There's just going to be a whole load of unanswered questions that we're only going to come to as we experience them, so therefore business planning has to become short and highly changeable and flexible. And so you end up kind of in a situation where, as you start to work through with the customers at that individual basis, we need to make sure that we are matching what we're talking to them and how we're presenting what we can do in a way that is flexible and reflects their local market needs and provides them with the support they need to manage uncertain times. Behind that, we know there are some consistent factors. People are trying to understand the point at which they can open up, and therefore they need to make sure they can get COVID secure. So being able to share our experiences of the parts of the world, as I said earlier, who are slightly ahead of the curve or in their experience this pandemic, particularly in our Australia and Asia business, where they are well into the world now of reopening and adjusting their offer to meet their market needs. Whilst it won't be exactly the same, we can pull out some key threads that enable our customers to look around the corner, if you like, and start to build some of those experiences into their planning, where that's how you create sensibly socially distant solutions, how you actually think about the impact on locals versus tourist markets, how you start to understand player behavior, what kind of experiences are popular when they come back. And so building on that, that's how we've kind of angled the product offering that we're talking to our customers around, because we picked up that the key things that we're seeing in our other markets is that the players want to come back, they want to play those games they're most familiar with, they want to come back to those experiences that gave them the most enjoyment. This is about creating the environments that those players have most missed. And we believe that what's fantastic about the power of our portfolio is that it enables us to really play on those notes. And actually, we can simultaneously guide our customers with our global experience and also demonstrate how these particular goods, services, products, and games are specifically designed or enable people to build back those audiences and really drive a powerful recovery. Because what we absolutely know is that when these markets open and when people come back to business, there's a huge emphasis from our operators on finding a as effective and efficient and quick route to bringing their customers back, providing those experiences and getting their businesses up and running again.
It strikes me as quite a responsibility. You talk about certainty and familiarity and helping your customers' customers, and that is a real responsibility. Andy, if I can come to you, and I know we're jumping across channels a little bit here. There's a few things that Simon said that I wanted to pick up on and ask you about. He talked earlier, actually mentioned familiarity being important as people recover. We talked then about the need for certainty, and something that is part of the mix, of course, is striking a balance between giving people the comfort of familiarity, but also giving them some new flavors as well, and letting them know that things are moving forward, that we are making progress. And I know that from Digital's point of view, you've taken some Asian games into the European market, and I wondered how those have been received, because at the same time, whilst Asia and Japan, in a land-based sense, is coming out of the fog, if you like, the digital platforms have not been through the fog. So how are those Asian games translating to the EU? I know you had, I haven't got a specific title, 88 Fortunes or 88, I'm not sure what you might call it. 88 program.
88 Fortunes.
How's that faring in Europe, and how is that mix between providing confidence and familiarity, but also providing dynamism and excitement going?
Yeah. So, I mean, familiarity is really important, especially when operators during this time are, marketing to players from a traditional retail environment, looking to continue their entertainment online. And, marketing with familiar games, whether it's, Rainbow Riches in the UK, 88 Fortunes, which is our #1 game across Europe, really helps to drive that familiarity for players. I mean, we've got thousands of those games out in the market in retail. It's part of a family of games by itself. But if we look online, we launched that game 4 years ago, and it continues to increase in popularity with players, throughout Europe. It's our #1 in Italy, in Sweden, in the Netherlands, in Norway, in Greece, Austria. It's #2 in Germany, Spain, Finland. It's such a popular game, and we do expand on the family. So we've got another game that was really successful in retail, Jinji Baozi. We've adapted it for online. So coming out in a couple of months' time, we've got Jinji Baozi with megaways attached. Megaways, online mechanic that's a familiarity in itself as well. So combining those together is changing the gaming experience for the retail player. They come online with some familiarity, and then they move on through the family of games, then on into pure online content is what we see when we look at the data. And we've added jackpots to those familiar games. Jinji Baozi again with Jackpot Wars that's got local progressives and wide area progressives. So staying with the Asian themed games, Dancing Drums, has been a hugely successful game. We're about to launch Dancing Drums Explosion in July, which comes from our retail estate again. Showing players that familiarity of the best games that are performing so well across not just Europe, but #1 games in the US as well.
You touched on games that have been successful in retail, obviously a big part of the portfolio. I wonder what the migration of players has been like in this period. I mean, obviously there is generally a migration, but has that accelerated in the last year? I presume that it has, but I don't know, and I expect you might, from retail to online.
Yeah, I mean, the retail games had a spike, towards the end of March. I mean, coming around this sort of time, right? They had a spike, they had more play, but it was clear. We did some analysis, with our data team. If you look at how many operators we've got, 180 operators in 25 regulated markets, 65 suppliers, 2,300 games. We've got, or 3,600 games. We've got enough data to see a pattern, and what we're expecting is to see the retail games just go up and overtake everything else. But what we saw was, those retail games were familiar and it brought people in, but then players started to explore everything that was available. And it'll be interesting to see as retail does start to open up more, how their behavior habits change. Do they stay as open as they have now become, or do they start to go back to what they knew before?
Well, it strikes me that we could ask John that now. John, that importance of brand familiarity, the thing we just talked about, the migration from retail, is that player base?
Brand familiarity, of course, is very important, and especially in the area now of omni-channel. Being able to leverage a strong brand that you have in retail and online exclusively is something that I'm sure Andy will tell you that all the operators probably want, but we're probably more reluctant to give. But I think from the land-based side, I think the transition from online to retail in terms of content is not as prevalent as it is the other way around. But that's something that we're looking at constantly. But from our perspective, leveraging our brands in the retail space is critical, because it builds a level of trust and familiarity with the players. So, talking about what players or what our operators are asking for now, and what the players are asking for when they come back to the casinos and the betting shops, etc., is I want to have products which I already know perform, or I know will perform, because they're from the same brand. So Andy made the same point. The 88 Fortunes franchise, if you like, this family started 7 years ago, and every product we release in that family is a transition from the previous one with some enhancements, some new features and functionalities. And we've taken the players along this journey so that now when they see Gigi Balshi or 88 Fortunes Lucky Gong, which is the next iteration in that family, they're immediately drawn to it because there are characteristics of the game that they recognize, the brand clearly, and then subsequently there will be new functionalities which will take the player to another level. So we've kind of hit the jackpot there in that at the time when the players need familiarity, where they need the volatility that they're looking for, they know that they can come to us, and they know that these brands will deliver because they always have, and they trust that they always will. So it's a great opportunity for us to give customers what they need at the right time.
John, if I can stay with you, we've talked generally there about brand familiarity being important to overall performance and in the mix, and use the word jackpot in a slightly different context. But I do want to ask about progressive games and their importance, their relevance. You've not touched upon that, and I know that when I speak to suppliers, I'm often surprised actually by just what a critical part of the business progressive games are. So how relevant is that to overall performance? I mean, that's something we've not touched on at all yet.
Well, progressives really, I think there's a bit of a misnomer around progressives. The bigger the jackpot, the more attractive the jackpot. That doesn't tend to chime with regular players. Regular players, the progressive is just a part of the mathematics of the game. It's the overall package which matters. And a regular player is not looking for $1 million jackpot. They know that jackpot will never win. They know that the RTP on that game is unfavorable, and they will shy away from it. So it's about striking the right balance between the base game, the bonusing within the base game, and the progressive adds an element to it. But if you look at the best performing products in the market, the jackpots are 10, maybe 15,000 maximum, which is not a huge amount of money, but the regular player knows that that's an amount of money that will be paid regularly and therefore is likely to hit. So it's really about the combination of the jackpot value, it's about the frequency and the RTP. And good players also know that if you're funding a local area progressive or a wide area progressive, you're basically funding the machine or the link for other people to win it. So the solid players tend to shy away from those kind of products because they prefer to play on a standalone game, which has a standalone progressive, which they are funding, and therefore they can win. So progressives per se are an element of the overall mathematics mix or makeup of a product. But the absolute value of the jackpot is the least important, really.
Simon, if I could come back to you, because I probably partly my fault. I've been very guilty about talking really only about iGaming, and I wanted to touch on sports betting really, because you have terminal hardware as part of gaming, and you have platforms as part of digital. The marriage of which surely offers a huge sports betting opportunity. Now, sports betting again was something that went to sleep for a good few months last year, but thankfully has returned. And I wonder about the sports betting path out of the pandemic and what the SG strategy is.
Sure. So I think we see two distinct tracks for the SG business, if you like. There's the end-to-end solution, which our colleagues on the sports betting side, predominantly online and digital, are working through to create an end-to-end solution which can be offered to our customers, which provides the kind of marriage of land-based and online sports betting. Obviously, the land-based bit can use our hardware, and the whole thing is knitted together with our platform. And I think we see that being an increasingly important part of our global offering. As you say, it's seeing strong growth, and we believe strongly that the COVID pandemic is a pause, not a change in that mixed growth, and we'll start seeing, particularly as the States starts to come back clearly, as sports betting that landscape evolves and changes, we'd expect to see continued growth. And that's a very key part of what we can offer. It's part of this immensely powerful portfolio of solutions that the global business can bring to each of its customers. From a more narrow perspective, we also recognise that a number of our operator customers have their own sports betting platforms. It's an integral part of what they offer and where they see their strategic path being. But we also know that the as is well attested through the slot machine world, but actually the design of that hardware can have a material impact on the playability and the overall customer experience, and by extension, actually thinking through how you position and manage that hardware can really drive a stronger performance in your retail estate, and therefore we're able to make that kind of expertise available on a hardware basis again across the world. Again, seeing particular growth in the UK and in the United States. So, I mean, as you say, this is all part of particularly on the land-based side, this is all part of the rebuild and the re-energizing that has to happen as we come out of the pandemic. But we believe quite firmly that a key part for our customers in re-establishing their land-based businesses is to create really engaging experiences for the user, in terms of the entire breadth of that retail offer, and the SG products and SG hardware can play an absolutely central part in that drive to recover.
Thank you. Something I must say I've enjoyed about this conversation is, and maybe it speaks to the SG culture, but it feels very optimistic. Maybe it's a different time of year and it's spring, and in the UK at least. But yeah, it feels very optimistic and positive, and that's very encouraging. And people will be encouraged to hear you guys speak. As time runs down and we wrap up, maybe we will wrap up on some optimism. Well, I'll just come to each of you, if you don't mind, just for 30 seconds or a minute, or maybe the things to look forward to, whatever they are. We can guess some of them anyway, getting back to trade shows, but not too many. But maybe, John, if we'll come to you first, and Andy, and then Simon, I'll give you the last word. Seems fitting. So, John, what are the exciting things for 2021 and ahead that we can look forward to as we press on with this optimistic outlook?
Well, I think a couple of reasons to be optimistic is that, we've been through 2 phases and 3 phases in some countries of closures and reopenings, and what we have seen, thankfully, is pent-up demand coming back. So I think we're all encouraged that once the operators are able to open, that we'll quickly get back on track. It will take some time for as I said earlier, for the coffers to be replenished and for things to start flowing freely again. But it will come back. And I think from our perspective, we are very close with our customers in terms of what they need and what we can give them. We've got slot products which perform exceptionally well and which the players will pick up on. We've got table products which there's a particular challenge that the tables business is going to see over the next few months, probably, if not longer, where limited spaces, limited tables that they're allowed to operate. So they're going to have to get more bang for their buck in terms of how they operate those games. And we've got some very, very good performing progressive solutions that we can add to existing tables in order to drive more revenue from those tables. And on the system side, for example, we've got cashless products which will address the post-COVID environment of people not wanting to handle money and cash anymore. So we've got cashless solutions, we've got player loyalty solutions. So, I think end to end, we've got some fantastic products which can really address the short-term consequences and needs of the pandemic and help the customers quickly get back to this normality that we hope will come. So I think there's reason to be optimistic in terms of the speed that it will come back. I think we just got to get over the hump of the next few months, especially in Europe, which seems to be heading in the wrong direction, unfortunately. But I'm confident that 12 months later we'll be looking at a relatively normal situation again.
from a digital perspective, as I said before, it hasn't slowed down, and it's not going to. So what have we got to look forward to? It's continuing to support our key operators at scale and at pace. They are all growing. The amount of activity on our platform continues to increase month on month, and the scale that we deal with takes a lot of work, right? And it's what we do well. Adding on new partners, being country specific to the partners we're bringing in for our operators. What are the right games for Spain? Totally different to what's needed in the UK. So our partner teams are doing a lot more of that. We've got our own first party roadmap, which is better and stronger than it's ever been. Some more Asian themed titles that come out of that family, as I've mentioned, with next month, Marvelous Mouse Coin Combo, which comes from the same family of games. And one of my favorites coming up as well, which is Invaders Megaways from our in-house studio. But it's all about working close with operators and nailing that market delivery to help their growth.
Yeah, and so finally for me, I mean, I think actually there's huge reason to be optimistic. I think if you think about it, it's tremendously exciting, the prospects of the next little while. We have a chance to rebuild the industry, and that doesn't happen terribly often. This chance to reimagine how it works, to bring players back, to pour energy back into that marketplace. That should be something that after a year of closure is tremendously exciting for everybody. And from a personal perspective, it's a chance to re-engage and reconnect with our customers, to re-engage with our players, to re-emerge, blinking into the sunlight. And that we really believe that as you look forward over the next few months, we have the products and services that bring the kind of experiences that are going to really help our customers drive their recovery, and that's very, very exciting.
Thank you so much, Simon, Andy, John. It's been great talking to you. Thanks for your time today. I feel a little bit more enthusiastic and a bit more up than I did at the start of the day, so thanks very much. Take care and have a great day.
Thanks.
Thanks, Joe.